Well, I just have a bunch of bee footage that I just threw together for this video just so I can talk to you guys for a little bit. So this is us using the pump and the acid applicator being filled for the first time. It worked great. Disproved some concerns that we had from some people, which weren't being super negative. They're just being realistic and asking generally honest questions. They were worried that the pump wouldn't be able to handle filling this tank. It did. It's slow, but it's also, I think, a 10 gallon, not even a 10 gallon. I think it might be a 5 gallon a minute pump. I'm not sure. I have to look at the label again, but all I'm really concerned about is the fact that it works. It's slower. For $55, I really can't beat it. I just saw an ad for a pump designed for being used on these totes, and it was $373. I can survive using the setup that I currently have. The only thing that's burning me on it is the fact that that power wire going from the pump to the 76 that you saw me hit the on switch on is just a little short. You could tell for how close we had to park the tractor to the trailer. So we are using Haymax. We did not go with the Green Guard from the local John Deere dealer. We actually went to the red and blue. I guess they sell New Holland equipment, I guess, but they sell Massey. But Scott's over in Platteville. I bought the tote from them. I did put on a fairly healthy amount of preservative. It worked as far as I'm concerned. I don't think the moisture tester that I have is all that accurate, and I really am going to choose not to put a whole lot of trust into it. Pretty much from what I've read in the instruction manual, that's a whole 2 pages long, was the fact that it'll tell you if there's any moisture present, and that's pretty much where it ends. The first time I used it, it checked at 9% moisture, then it shot up to 21, down to 14, and then it ended up around 17. Well, according to the manual, you're supposed to use the highest number that it reads, so I assumed that it was 20% moisture. I do believe the manual says it recommends, was it 4 pounds per ton or something like that. It's been a few days now since we've done this, but it worked. I've been checking the temperature, which that moisture probe really works great for telling you the moisture. It's actually really accurate as far as I'm concerned, and any of my hay that I thought would keep very well, that I wouldn't have to worry about, did heat up to high 90s, but I went back and checked it the next day. It was already backing off to the low 90s, and the stuff that I was concerned about, the highest that it had gotten was 117, and it was already back down to just over 100. I think it was like 101, 102, and it's starting to back off. I mean, this is not top end, great, awesome quality feed, but I threw the first bale that we made in for my cows. I took it home, and the thing didn't make it 6 hours. They had it pretty well mulled over, and within 24 hours there were no traces of it left in the bale feeder. So granted, it got rained on like it did. I left it in the windrow longer than probably recommended, but the hay is coming back. Did not affect the hay coming back, the grass, whatever that was left in those windrows for 5 days without any sunlight, because it's kind of hard to kill grass. That's just my stance on that. The hay preservative, granted, it's expensive. It's another expense that we've never had to use before. But if it's keeping the hay quality and it's allowing me to sleep at night knowing that my haystack isn't going to go up in flames, and checking it daily, I'm feeling pretty confident that it was worth the extra money for the applicator, and it was worth the money for the preservative. So I do not know if Dad and Ryan are going to use it. That's really up to them. I'll put it on for them if they want, but their intentions are not to use the preservative at this point in time. But seems like I am the one that runs the baler. I mean, that's the long and the short of it. If we get into some material that is borderline, yeah, it'll go on, just because I don't want them to have poor feed either. So we are using the Bobcat, no JCB. The JCB, we have to be careful bringing it down here, because when you haul it, we don't have a trailer. We do, but we don't. The flatbed is ideally the best trailer to be using to haul the JCB. We put it on the bumper hitch trailer, and it's a load for that trailer, and it's so much simpler at this point Bobcat. I can throw that hay preservative on the front of the trailer like I did, and you are good to go. And this, with the wheels and everything, I've pretty well grown up running this machine. Yes, it's been around for a long time, but really good at handling a foot control, hand control machine. Didn't take long to get used to running the JCB, all the hand controls, but use what will do the job, and this machine handled it very well. You're going to see in the next clip, we're hauling in from one of the parts of the field. I did stack these bales not nearly as tight as I could because I wanted air to get in around them so they could breathe a little bit. We put them inside because, yeah, people were commenting after the fact on one of my last videos that I really hope was the tedding video. I really hope that you have your hay in because it's getting pretty well drenched right now. You're right. That's why we went ahead and we stacked all this inside. I really don't think it hurt. Probably going to get a little bit more, a little bit braver with it, I guess you could say. And the plan is all this hay that you're seeing here, I'm actually planning on loading back up and hauling out and bringing it back up to the home farms because this is my go-to material for feeding my cows. So I just as soon get the shed cleaned back out because I do have probably 200 bales of first cut down here I got to make yet. And my plans are to basically douse it with that preservative if it needs it and slam it into the shed and mark that down as hopefully a marketable product. So we did go through and we put a lot of net wrap on. I'm going to talk about the round baler, the net wrap, or the controller. I was asked to talk about the bale track controller. I was asked to talk about the hay probe. I'll do separate videos on both of those topics. I do read your comments, so I am going to probably do a couple videos going forward here of more talking, more explaining, but I'm going to try to answer some more of the why do we do this, why do we do that, why do we do things the way we do, which is really why this channel exists. This is the rest of the story, and the rest of the story is me trying to explain. You see very carefully that bale is starting to fall over. That's why I end up taking it back out and restacking it. But this channel is to explain to everyone that wants to know what's going on around here and why we do it. It's not just machinery running. So, in the last video, I imagine you guys saw me cultivating. The reason I bring that up is because, surprise, surprise, we're cultivating at the end of this video. I'm not, but my buddy is. I was driving by his place and I saw that he was turning some dirt, and I pulled in and said hi. I'm undecided right now if we're going to be cultivating a whole lot more because of the amount of hay that we have to make. I mean, we haven't had to make as many acres as we currently have right now in several years, and the corn is really growing. Several days in the 80s, blue sky, sunny, a mild wind, it makes that corn stretch. It's growing very rapidly and getting to the point where I may not be able to cultivate, period. That's it. That's the end of the story. I missed out on cultivating this year. Not the end of the world. I have one farm that is still in need of 60 units of nitrogen yet. Planning on putting it on with the cultivator, but the way the farm is set, it is straight tracked across the whole field. Andrew can come in with their Hagee self-propelled sprayer from Nutrien, and they can Y drop it. It's not my first choice because I like working the soil and incorporating the chemicals that are there. I mean, closing up any cracks that are currently in the soil between the plant rows and kind of getting the air down into the soil. Generally, that's what I like to do. I think I missed out on this year just for how the weather is going. I mean, we are, as of right now, I'll tell you guys the way it is. We were running 2 disc bines tonight. I cut up or cut down a bunch of pasture ground, rougher running. That's why I did it, just for the machine that I had. And I have everything down at my bottom in the valley. It has to be made yet, and it's getting later and later in the year. I was planning on getting 3 cuttings off of it, and that window for getting 3 cuttings is starting to close. This is my friend's 4630. Let's talk about this real quick here before I gotta close it off. He's going through and pretty much doing the same thing. He had a bunch of fertilizer broadcast, and he's going through and incorporating it in while he still can. He didn't have his 4320 narrowed up for 30-inch rows anymore, because he plants with the 4320, but he actually narrows it up and widens it out depending on the rest of the year. He uses it for planting, and he likes it set narrowed up. His 4630 is generally a tillage, and you guys have seen his 4630. You can see the controller box for the chopper right behind him. They use it for chopping and heavy tillage, and it's set at 30-inch rows, and that's where they leave it. So he does not like to cultivate as a norm. Every few years is generally when he cultivates. So he says it'll work, and it does. I mean, it's kind of like a lumbering horse, but it does the job. I really don't see much what's wrong with it. I mean, it had air conditioning and a sound guard cab. It's a little bit better set up than our 4020. So I don't know, you guys. It's really up in the air as far as seeing any side dressing done by us this year with the cultivator. I don't want to not do any, but literally I'm to the point where if the sun is shining and the ground is dry enough where I could be cultivating, I need to be trying to making hay. So from cutting on day 1 to tedding the following day, potentially tedding on the 3rd day, and then raking and baling. That's what they're calling for the next few days. They were saying no rain for 7 days, but the problem is if you look at the detailed explanation for each of the days weather-wise, and they're calling for a chance of storms sporadically, may have a chance of storms here, there, on every day after the 4th day after today. So I mean, it's kind of hard to get too excited about making hay, but you can't make it unless it's on the ground. So on that note, I think we're going to end this video. So thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Take care. Take it easy. Keep in touch. Make sure you keep on tuning in to the rest of the story. Thanks.